Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Candid Convos. And today I'm very excited to have a friend at this point because I've been on his podcast, and that's Giuseppe Grammatico. And Giuseppe, nice to see you again.
Thanks, Brad. Looking forward to it.
All right, so listen, again, this is Candid. There's not a lot of prep here. So tell everybody, what do you do? Who are you?
I basically help corporate execs find time and financial freedom through franchising. Simple as that.
Okay, I like it. That's very simple. So um, you help people locate franchises and then potentially vet them and buy into them, or tell us a little bit more about the process.
Yeah, so the process is basically I help people in career transition that maybe have been recently furloughed or thought of ever owning a business. We figure out if business ownership is the right fit, and then we figure out what type of business. Is it a franchise? Is it a startup? And if it is a franchise, we dive a little bit deeper as to what their ideal business looks like. We create a model for them, kind of showing what their ideal business looks like, and then we research and look at two or three franchise companies that best match what they're looking for, and then we make introductions to those companies.
Well, tell us, the name of the company. I think it's the franchise guide. How people contact you, all that before, because I've learned to do that early instead of later before people tune out.
Right now, I appreciate it. So yeah, I just put up a new website. So it's myfranchiseroadmap.com, and on
Right?
there is all my information. If you want to contact me, we have a free book, Franchise Freedom, for anyone that's ever thought of owning a business and isn't ready for a phone call. It's a complete roadmap to owning a business. My podcast, our interview is there from last year, as well
Yeah.
as a presentation. So everything is on there. If you want to contact me, go right directly to the site.
So look, my law firm, right? We do business law, franchise law, and litigation. So
Mhm.
that's how you and I originally connected. So I'm a huge fan in the right circumstance of franchising. And I want to mention a few things. One, there's a lot of like franchise guys out there, which I don't think you're this guy, which I'm very happy you're not, who essentially convinces business owners that they should franchise
Mhm.
when they're not ready. I mean, it takes so much time and money. People
Right.
just think, I'll just franchise my business and then I'll make money off other people and it'll be easy. It's not easy. You're essentially, every franchise you sell is like getting a new kid, and you're only as happy as your least happiest child. So, but then there's like what you're doing is you're helping people find the right franchise and buy into the right franchise. Totally different model.
Correct. Yeah. And right. Not every business is a fit. It's basically no matter what you do, it's your goals, what you're looking to get out of. And it's definitely an area we can touch on, but we have partners that work that cover that area. But what I specialize is, yes, is the existing franchises out there. There's well over 4,000 in the US,
Mhm.
which are a right fit for you, if indeed it's even a right fit. Because many franchise companies aren't built the same. And many people, to be honest, are not a good fit for franchising if they don't like following a system.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, let's dive into that a little bit more. So, one of the reasons a franchise can be attractive, and you're saying franchise freedom, right? And freedom is a phrase that we use here. It gets stepped up a lot. Delegate your way to freedom.
right.
So, the way that you help people find their freedom is through an existing business, which you're buying. You're supposed to, it's like buying a business in a box, right? It's
Correct.
supposed to be, I'm going to pay in to own this franchise, and then I'm going to pay out royalties, but like the business is going to run for me. Now, that's I think where people kind of get off kilter, because the harder you work a business, franchise or not, the better it's going to be. And it's not like you get to own a franchise and then go sailing around the world. It's going to run itself. It's still a business that needs to be run. And frankly, the support, those 4,000 franchise systems that you mentioned are not created equally. Some
Correct.
of them give a lot of good support, and some of them, frankly, get sued often for a reason. So, what are kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, a franchise is a business in a box. A franchise is not an industry. A franchise is simply a vetted system. Someone has gone through the trial and error to figure out the best ways of going about it. So, to your point, yeah, I mean, it's set up for you. It's for the person that wants to run with the system. You can make just as much money in a franchise versus a non-franchise. I'm not biased in any way. I've owned both businesses and I've done well in both. So, franchising in many cases can be a almost like a stepping stone into your, entrepreneurial journey, where
Hmm.
maybe you get into a system where you don't need any experience. You need to follow the system, run with the system as business one. And sometimes business two is your startup, because now you've done well, you've scaled, and now you have the money to go towards a startup. But on a franchise, if it is a good fit, the benefits are just numerous. We can't even cover them all in this episode, but just the simple fact that you can talk to franchises all over the country, before buying the franchise, to validate and speak with them and make sure they're happy, and getting the support for the royalty that you had mentioned. And then afterwards, to share ideas, what's working, what's not working. That neighboring franchise could be your potential buyer, your potential exit strategy down the road. So
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned speaking to other franchises because um, when clients ask us, well, what are some, bad warning signs? And one of my first things is if they discourage you from speaking to other franchise owners or flat out prohibit you, run the other way. Like if I had a franchise and my people are super happy, they're going to be my best salespeople.
absolutely.
And if you're working hard at cultivating, I mean, have you ever talked? We have a client that owns quite a few McDonald's. It's rare to meet an unhappy McDonald's owner, right?
Right.
It's just very rare.
Right.
You go into a different type of franchise and you may meet a lot of unhappy people, and that's super important. And by the way, it's a free country. You can go call up whoever you want. Never listen to somebody if they say don't speak, to our other franchise owners. We had a lawsuit one time where the our client found out that they were like flown up to New Jersey and shown this pizza place, but they like packed it during lunch and it was empty at all other times.
Oh, really?
And we found that out. It was kind of a switch, bait and switch during discovery. So a lot of horror stories there.
I,
But
I
our
will I will say, in the franchise document that everyone gets, they list all the franchise and previous franchisees, so it's not a secret. So
yeah,
you can definitely look them up. But yeah, I agree absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so our audience is mostly attorneys. We definitely have a lot of non-attorney clients. Get staffed up because like what we do, virtual staffing can apply to
Mhm.
most businesses. Um, but most of our audience on this is attorneys. So a lot of attorneys, and I have my own thoughts on this, but I want to ask you, have thought about licensing or franchising their own law firm. I've never seen a law firm that's franchised yet. Have you?
I have not. I've seen, bookkeeping services and things like that, but I have not seen a law firm. I have not.
Yeah.
So not to say it doesn't exist, but I am not aware of any.
Yeah. Okay.
We do have a lot of attorney, financial advisors, CPAs that are franchise owners.
yeah.
They have their practice and they own various investments, locations, and things like that. But who knows? I will say, just before I forget, before the end, but franchise attorneys, I always talk about this in my show and my book. Definitely want to hire a franchise attorney like Brett to review your franchise disclosure document. Most attorneys say they can review it, but I highly, highly recommend a franchise attorney that understands the
Yeah.
franchising to review that document. So, little plug for Brett.
Well, thank you. I mean, look, you're giving away a lot of freedoms when you buy into a franchise, and you have to know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
The ones that always get me is we had another client that they were at full capacity and they still weren't profitable because they didn't do the math ahead of time, like based on the amount of seats and based on the rent. And like
Right.
it's so important to not fall in love with the concept without doing your own business model. And people, I was listening to a book and they talk about consistency. It's like it takes a lot of mental effort to put in the work, and a lot of people, I don't want to call them lazy, it's just more convenient to trust things than to question them and
Right.
go through the process. But if you have to be very careful with buying into a franchise that you really know what you're getting into.
Yeah, yeah, like with any business, the franchise will definitely give you more information than any other business, because you can validate, you have the FDD. But just like anything else, don't if there's one takeaway from this, don't buy a franchise based off the product or service. That's the biggest reason I see a lot of franchise owners fail. They buy something because they like the product, like the sandwich or the pizza, but they don't really understand what the owner's role is in the business. And I see
Right.
that I mean, I can't tell you how many times I see it. I say reverse engineer it. I went through this. So this isn't something I learned in school or a buddy of mine. I went through this. I did it the wrong way, finally did it the right way, working with a franchise coach. Reverse engineer, work in reverse, figure out what you want, not based off of what will make the most amount of money. If you want to work 5 days a week and you want to work from your pajamas from home as a home-based business, it's doable. If the
Yeah.
investment is 100 grand versus a million, it does not make a difference. The investment, there's no correlation between investment and return, period. That I could say with 100% certainty.
Right.
Find a business that matches what you're looking for and you'll do well.
Yeah.
That and obviously, finding the right franchise that will support you. So
Yeah, and the reason you buy a franchise instead of starting your own business is it's supposed to save you years of figuring out the systems, right? And
yes.
like 7 years, for example. So let's play this little game. So my father, he's retired, he's hanging out. Let's say, he's in his late 60s. Let's say he wanted to get into a franchise and only wanted to work, I don't know, 20 hours a week or something. Off the top of your head, can you name a few potential franchises that would be good? Like if we have audience members who have older folks in the same situation?
Yeah, something when you're looking at what we call semi-absentee, there's the extreme, and you see this over and over, is around real estate, where essentially you're picking up renting a floor of a building and renting it out and breaking it up into office suites and or renting it out to salon professionals, where each salon professional gets a one, two, or even three chair little
Right.
suite. So there's multiple brands around that. So more of a real estate play. You find your tenants. There's no appreciation obviously on the building per se, but you do have maybe 30, 40 tenants in a one floor space.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, there are home service. They do require a little bit more um, hours in the beginning, but you can start scaling back to 20 hours. But around home services, one I particularly like is mosquito spraying,
Yeah.
especially in your neck of the woods. New Jersey, Florida, the whole coast. Mosquito spraying is big. Very few employees. Can be run on autopilot. Why? Because many franchises offer you a call center and
Mm-hmm.
turnkey marketing. So you don't need any people aside from the owner just overseeing and approving marketing assets. So a lot of great options, especially now with real estate being cheap. So definitely, if anyone has any questions, they can contact me
Yeah.
about any type of suites, franchise suites in the real estate space.
Yeah, I love getting into the actual nitty gritty, like when you start talking about the business. For example, we have a franchise client, Mosquito Joe, right? They own, they're one of our clients. That's it's fun when you start getting into that. What about a successful lawyer who is ready to have another, because you mentioned that earlier, right? Another entrepreneurial endeavor. Anything come to the top of your head with something that would be good for somebody with a little more time and money?
Yeah, I mean the lawyer, it's based off of what they're looking for. So I mean, if they have money, obviously that opens up more avenues when you're getting into brick and mortar and retail. So I would still go back to something in the office suite space. Other things that come into mind where if they're not comfortable, right? Because it's not about just the money; it's about what you're comfortable with. Is water and smoke mitigation. Huge business, necessity business. It doesn't matter if you're in a pandemic or not. If basements are flooded or we get hit with some type of natural disaster, that those businesses are booming. So
Yeah.
we have never seen a down year in those types of businesses. Not brick and mortar, but now you're dealing with a little bit more employees on the subcontractor employee side.
Yeah.
But truly a recession resistant, recession proof business, more than just about any other business I've seen.
Right. Right. That's interesting. All right. Well, fun stuff. I again, I love getting into the actual, business models, which maybe isn't the most fun for other people to talk about or listen to. So, you and I could probably go on, but we're kind of at our time limit for what we like to do in these candid combos. So if anyone's still listening to our almost 15-minute back and forth here with Giuseppe Grammatico, thank you so much. The website is My Franchise Guide. Roadmap.
myfranchiseroadmap.com. Yeah, we just
Okay.
created the domain, the new website. So my franchise roadmap, free book, free podcast. And if you have any questions about anything we discussed, we could definitely dive in. If we had more time, I'd like to go into more examples, but feel free. I do a 20-minute call, a free intro call for anyone that calls in.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Giuseppe. I hope people do reach out to you, and it's nice chatting with you again. We'll be in touch, my friend.
Same here, Brett. Thanks again.
Okay. All right.
Take
Take
care.
care.